Hello, today I'm going to show you how to do a audit on a sensitive item Google Ads account. We're going to be doing this audit because this is probably one of the hardest scenarios you'll ever see. I haven't even looked into the account yet myself, so you're probably going to get a little bit of real-time action here on how I audit an account. So the first thing I always do is a technical audit because everything else kind of relies on that. So for instance, if conversion tracking isn't not working, or if it's off or something else, then it could definitely throw off or skew data in the future. So first I'm going to open up their conversions here. So click on the wrench bar, measurement conversions, and I open up in a new tab because it's just a little bit easier for organization as well. And then boom, right away I instantly see something wrong with the conversions. Well, John, what do you see that's wrong with the conversions? Well, first let's get a little bit more of a date range here just for larger data. I usually look for a minimum of maybe 30 days worth of data, but if it's not available, it's not available, and you can only work with what you have. Every single scenario will be different, and you're kind of just going to have to use your best guess for a lot of these. But anyway, so what do I see what's going on here that's wrong? So I see lead form, submit lead form, AW. First thing that's wrong here is that there's no conversion value. So what is a conversion value? How does that work? Well, conversion value works as saying how much do you want to pay in a dollar amount to get a lead. In this case, a lead is a submit lead form. So for instance, if you make $100 profit on selling an item, and for you to get a 2x return, you would then need to get a closed sale for $50. But then, say out of the $50, you need 10 leads to then get to a closed sale. You would then assign a conversion value of $5. So in case you got lost in the math there, this is all hypothetical. It's just to give you an example. If the profit on a sale is $100 and you divide it by 2, that's $50. And then if you say if it takes, again, 10 leads to then turn that into a closed sale, then it'd be 50 divided by 10, which equals 5. And then we would assign a conversion value of 5 here. Now, they didn't even tell me what a conversion value is for them, what do they want to lead at, or any of that other information. So we can't really use that as an estimation, so even I'm doing a little bit of guesswork here as well. So anyways, immediately we're going to see here that we're going to say needs to add a conversion value for submit lead form. And then I'll even write down that that formula. So conversion value is equal to the profit divided by 2 and then divided by the total amount of leads needed for a sale. And then, boom, that is the first portion of our technical audit. Then we are going to go into the second portion. Kind of going through here, we see a goal 1. Now, here's a cool thing as well. So this is a really, really hard account, and it's good that we're seeing a hard account because this is probably worst case scenario. So you have website, Google Analytics, Universal Analytics. So you may want to make a note here that there's potential for this to not be right. Very often when you see a conversion source like this, it means that another marketing company has more than likely worked with this company before, and that a lot of marketing companies, they kind of want to fluff up their numbers sometimes. So maybe if you were, I don't know, having an e-commerce site and you were selling furniture, they may add in a goal as add to cart, but that's not necessarily a good thing, because if you're saying that adding something to the cart is equal to, say, a closed purchase, the AI will find adding something to the cart as a lot easier than a closed purchase. So what we're going to do is make a note of this for goal 1. So for goal 1, there is a possibility conversion tracking is not working due to it being funneled through Google Analytics. All right. Oops, that's the wrong count. There you go. Mobile form submissions, unverified. That means that the conversion code is not even on the website. So we're going to want to make a note of that as well, because if this is playing a role. They could be getting maybe double the amount of leads, but it's not being recorded at all because the code is not on the site. So we're going to copy that verbiage there. Paste as plain text. Is not currently active on the site and is not recording conversions. Ready? Call conversions needs a conversion value, and website phone calls also needs a conversion value. Now here's another thing. So this is a conversion source from a website, and this is conversion source calls from ads. There could be some overlap here. So this 5 could be attributing to this. This could be a part of the, so this could really be maybe 21, and this could be 5. Meaning that 21 people could have called by seeing the ad, and then the other 5 people could have clicked on the ad, ended up on the website, then called. So there could be some overlapping conversion tracking there as well. We're going to want to make a note of that. Now, something that we are missing here in this calls is that we see calls from ads, website, and other calls from ads. Usually you'll see 2 others. You'll see phone call leads, and you'll maybe see clicks to call or contacts. Clicks to call or contacts means the same exact thing. Let's say food near me, for instance. So if you're on your phone, and usually you see this on your phone, there's usually a call button. That's a click to call or a contact. And a phone call lead could also mean, depending on how they set it up, a call from their actual ad, a search ad, or their website. Anyways, don't worry about it. Long story short, what we're going to make a note of here is that it needs a conversion value, and that and that there might be overlap between here. So the phone call conversions need a conversion value, and there might be an overlap of conversions between the ad and the website. All right. Scroll down. Here is contact. There you go. The business profile. Clicks to call. Maybe they have an office or something. Whenever you see a lock like this, it's usually correct. Doesn't mean it's always correct, but just to give you a usual, it is usually correct. Google hosted, this is always correct. You really got to go out of your way to mess this one up. You don't have to set it up, but I'm just saying if you see this here, about 99.99% of the time it says conversion source, Google hosted, it's 99% of the time correct. All these other ones, there probably is an overlap considering that they had one call here and none here. Also smart campaigns as well. These are locked, more than likely working. Get directions. Well, why is get directions important? Why is get directions worth a 1 and this is worth a 0? Let's also check out their site really quick, ehorns.com. So whenever you see get directions like this, where were we again? Get directions. This means that someone on their mobile phone maybe Googled food near me, and on your phone it looks different. I'm on my desktop, so that's why we're seeing a little bit different results. But if you Googled this on your phone, you would see a little blue button here that says directions, and that means someone clicked on that, and they had to drive a percentage of the way. Usually Google hosted automatically makes it 80% of the way. There are discrepancies in data, but about 80% of the time, if you see, say, 100 directions, about 80 people usually ended up there, if you want a good rule of thumb. So local actions, directions, they assigned the conversion value of 1. So maybe they really, really want someone at their office, and that's important because if they're saying that this has a higher conversion value of 1 versus a submit lead form or phone call, which we're getting a lot on, it could really play a role in our activities here. So we're going to click on Get Free Consultation just to see what their funnel looks like. It looks like their funnel is a lead form. It doesn't really look like, and this is just off of me guessing. I have the same exact information as you. How do I know that this is their funnel? Because if you come to their webpage, they're asking you in this orange button that this is where they want you to go if you're brand new. And then you come here, you fill out a form, and then you click Start Now. So more than likely, the form is more important than directions. But the AI is learning for the directions and not the form. So that's why it's important to make note of this. So I'm going to write Get directions currently has the only positive conversion value, and we may, let's see if they even allow us to reduce it, because sometimes they don't even allow us to reduce it. This recommendation, edit settings. Yep, so I can change this to 0, but I'm not going to, because we're going to need approval on that first. So get directions currently has the only positive conversion value. We may want to assign a conversion value of 0 for get directions. Alrighty. And that is that portion. Oops. Clicked out of it. Let's come back to conversions. Engagement. Again, same problem here. Engagement means website clicks. And why would a website click? And by the way, it's Google hosted. Of course, they set this up. But why would a website click be worth more than a lead form? Probably isn't. They probably just messed this up. So we're going to make a note of that. Engagement needs to have a conversion value of 0. Alrighty. And then again, website visits. Why does that matter? Why is a website visit more than a lead? It shouldn't be. Site visits should also have a conversion value of 0. Let's write a little bit. Due to main funnel needing a lead form. Right. Okay, there we go. So our conversion tracking portion of this audit is done. I'm going to click back on this. All right, and let's kind of just exit out of there for now, just because this looks a little bit cleaner. Just refresh it, just because, I don't know, sometimes things just get out of whack. I just like to refresh sometimes randomly. Now we have a lot of campaigns here. So I think it really wouldn't make sense for us to go through all these campaigns, because if we do go through all these campaigns, we'll probably spend a lot of time and money. So all these audits should never take over an hour, maybe never more than 2 hours. Hold on, that's my alarm clock going off. You can just step aside for like a minute and turn this off. Okay, I am back. So, what we're going to do is, how do we know which campaign to focus on first? Well, we go by cost usually, because usually what they spend the most money in matters the most. Now, something else to point out is that they sent me over what was important to them. So the way I structure mine is, first, what's important to them, 2, what's the technical audit, 3, what are some notes and feedback I can get. So they're very interested in their performance of impression and lead flows. That's how they described it, so I titled it that way. But when I give the directions to you or anybody else, the lead flows may just say, it's a really fancy word for that they want to lower their cost per lead or cost per conversion. So, anyways, going back to this, their current cost per conversion is $5.20 with 18 conversions. This is more than likely where they would want us to look at the most. We're going to click on US, what was that called? US something. Let's filter this out to just back to where we were, because I forgot the name of it already. US Syngenics, I already forgot the name of it, so we're going to copy that. We're going to paste it right in here, values only, because it'll pop up in blue writing if you do it a different way. So there we go. I'll sometimes leave a little space there as well, just for a little bit of organization. Okay, so coming back over to here, $529 cost per conversion. Cost per conversion really shot up here. It looks like 314, 201, 219. Okay, so first thing I like to usually do is I like to look at the keywords. Okay, these are all an exact match. Syngenics cost. This is where they've gotten all the conversions on there is that exact match keyword. Let's see if they've gotten any other conversions here. Oh, here's a big thing. Look, under search keywords, they have 1,666 keywords. Way too many keywords. You never have more than 20 keywords in a campaign. So we're going to definitely make a note of that. Has 1,666 keywords. The budget is not properly cycling through. Would not recommend more than 20 keywords per campaign. All right. Come back here. Do this again. All campaigns, U.S. Eugenics. Still looking for this U.S. one. It must be down here. Just because I don't really like the current view I have on here. What I want to do is I want to filter this out so that it only has active campaigns. I don't think it is going to show me that. Campaign 617, 625. Oh my gracious. Let's look at our ad groups. How many ad groups do we have here? Okay, so 27 ad groups. Another big thing, I never like to have more than 2 ad groups per campaign. Whenever there is more than 2 ad groups, I like to rebuild it completely. Usually, I don't even build out a campaign with more than 1 ad group, so I'm going to make a note of that as well. Has 27 ad groups. Or have more than 2 ad groups. Now, something they mentioned to me earlier that really bothered them was that they used to get leads a lot cheaper before this other guy came in. So what we can also make as a recommendation, just because they asked us beforehand, the performance. So let's actually copy this one, because this is a question about their performance of impressions and how they decrease the cost per conversion. Lead flows, cost per conversion, no one really uses that term, but it's just because they use that term, we're going to be using that term. So the way that we're going to write that down is recommend going back to date when, recommend reverting ads back to date when it was working, because that relates strictly to cost per conversion instead of just technical. And remember, we only have the first one again just because they specifically asked for this. Okay. So that is on the ad group side. Now we have covered the keywords and the ad groups. We're going to look at the search terms. We want to see what are we actually showing our ads for. Are our ads actually being shown for things that make sense? So again, we're doing it by cost, because that's usually where, if we were misspending money or having ad waste, that'd be the problem. Now here, Syngenic reviews. We've spent $464, haven't had any conversions. So we may want to reduce that budget as well. If you're unsure, you could always expand the date range this way too, just to see if you've ever gotten leads under a larger budget. The way, if they do give you a CPA means cost per lead or cost per acquisition. If they do tell you how much they want that for, then you can start to say, okay, well, hypothetically, this is not for this scenario, but hypothetically, if they did not want a cost per conversion of over $300, then we would know to pause this keyword. So that just kind of gives us some insight there. And all these are around the same price. This one's a little bit more expensive. So is this one. This one says reviews. So maybe this one, reviews, is sucking up all the budget. So let's make a little note of that here. Gosh, I already forgot the terminology they use. That's why I'm a big copy and paster, because I can never remember all these little details. So Syngenic reviews, recommending adding reviews as negative keyword because it costs $2,000 per conversion. And they have had a decrease in conversions over the past month, which could be because most of the ad spend is going towards reviews instead of Syngenics. Because reviews has a higher volume. A higher volume means that there's more traffic or more people Googling it every month, and thus just wasting money. So we're going to come back over to here. That's our search terms. Now we're going to check out our settings here. So depending on the date when you see this video, this is February 8th, 2023. A lot of things will probably change because there's constantly changes going in and out of the platform, but this is just for how it works today. So here's what it says here: use account goal settings. Wait, hold on. Why is downloads from mobile apps being important for this? It isn't important at all. Why are these other ones important? Probably they're not. So we're going to ask what is important and use campaign-specific goals. Because if we use campaign-specific goals, then we'll be able to say that we only want to target that one thing. So recommending using campaign-specific goals to identify what is working best, or not what is working best, to target the correct conversion. Should be good enough. All right, bid equally for new and existing customers. I don't like to check this button because it's currently kind of buggy. This may be good in the future, but whenever I upload a list and everything, it just becomes a retargeting campaign. So have tried it a lot. I just don't find a lot of use in it at the moment. We're here, marketing objective leads. This is good. Search network. This is usually not good to have on there. So what is search network? Ads can appear near Google search results, Google sites, where people can see relevant keywords. So it can show up in like a Gmail, it can show up on news sites, it can show up in all these other areas other than Google search. So if we type in that word, here is a ad, for instance, that pops up. This is Google search, and this is where you usually get most of your leads and most amount of sales from. But people tend to not really convert from a Gmail ad or these other areas, so that's why you want to uncheck that. So remove from search network due to wasted ad spend. We're not going to say due to wasted, due to a high probability of wasted ad spend. Everything in here is a probability. You can never give guarantees in marketing because no one can see the future. Even though I've worked with, say, many chiropractors, maybe over 100, still only 80% are successful just due to demand, processes, and unaccounted for factors that you could just never help. So that's why you can never give guarantees in marketing. All right, targeting 50 locations. Okay, this is interesting. Well, this is good. I kind of like it that they broke it up by state. You always want to break it up by state. If this only said United States, for instance, you would make the recommendation to break it up by state instead. It's good that the location options here just say presence, because if it was presence or interest, say someone living in China was interested in, flying to Virginia, or or maybe likes country music, and then therefore they're popping up because of this. It allows people from literally outside of whatever you say to find your company. It's kind of hard to explain, but long story short, even though if this was presence or interest, someone in China could have any interest in West Virginia, and that interest could be defined as anything. It could be that they're interested in visiting there, they have a country music interest. So long story short, whenever you're doing locations, just make sure it says presence, and also exclude only presence as well, because again, it just it makes it very, very confusing, and it leads to things going wrong. So I'm going to say recommend removing presence wait, and interest from exclusion and adding it to only presents. All right. Okay, good. $450 a day, that doesn't matter. Languages could matter, but you usually have a Spanish ad and an English ad. Just keep that in mind. This is already in English, so it doesn't really matter. You always want this off because then this could become auto-applied. Usually when Google auto-applies anything, it's bad because they want you to usually spend more money. Very seldomly does it ever end up benefiting you. So never give Google Ads or any ads platform more control than what they need. Ads rotation do.optimize. This is actually really good. You want this when an account has already been running for a while. If a account is new and you are launching a campaign for the first time, you want it on optimize because you want to first get results, and after you get results, then you want to learn about the psychology of the buyer. And we haven't even gotten to the idea of the psychology of the buyer, but the reason why you have do not optimize is so that you can test out different words and figure out the psychology of the buyer. So it just depends on where they are in the account. It doesn't really matter, I guess, in this scenario. But it could matter, actually, if you want to argue the other way, because if they are getting no conversions at all or a really bad cost per conversion, then maybe this would take more precedence. So it just depends on where the client's at, if they are in the stage in their company where they need to learn the psychology of their buyer. And considering these people are not getting results that they're looking for, probably learning about the psychology of the buyer is not as important to them. IP exclusions, you see this. Gosh, I'm not going to bother on this. Just ignore it for now. Very, very seldomly we ever have to use that. We're going to check locations again just on here to make sure that it just looks okay. Sometimes, things can just be misunderstood. Okay. Interesting. Oh, it's weird because look, it says they're targeting here and they're excluding it. So that could probably cause a glitch in the AI. As of today, again, February 8th, 2023, that could cause a glitch in the AI. So we're going to make a little note here. Do not exclude and include the same states due to a potential of glitching out the AI. Now, of course, this could change in the future, but it's always just a best practice. Even in the future, if they do fix this, you still may want it as a recommendation. Times a day probably doesn't matter for this type of company. Times a day matters for companies that are maybe open during certain hours, like a chiropractor. But it doesn't apply to all things because, like, say, an auto body shop where they are open only 9 to 5, people get in car accidents at 1 a.m. in the morning and they may still call an auto body shop. So you kind of have to get into the user. A lot of this is just kind of learning, but don't focus too much on the ad schedule. More than likely, you will not have to make a recommendation on this. Then we're going to come over to landing pages here. Well, it's not really loading in at the moment, but the importance in landing pages, oh, here you go, is that you want to make sure that it's just not going anywhere silly like an About Us page. Testimonials are okay. This all looks fine. Just make sure it doesn't really go anywhere silly, but all this looks okay. And what is something silly? Something silly is About Us page, just things that you know for a fact would never turn into a conversion. Don't spend too much time on this either. It's just something I never spend usually more than 20-30 seconds on. Just see if it's going to an About Us page. And now we are here. We are on the ads. This is the fun part. We're going to come over to cost. We're going to click on this. Okay. Now the ad strength here is poor. This is neither good nor bad. The reason why is because this only affects click-through rate. Click-through rate means out of 100 people that see your ad, if 99 people click on it, you have a 99% click-through rate, and thus you would have an excellent score. Now, having a high quality score does not equate to more sales, because what it means sales is how good your ad is, what it says in here. And usually you want to test different psychological biases in here, and you usually want to pin them all to the first degree. So pinning them to the first degree looks like that. And this, where it says over 3,000 satisfied patients, that is the first thing that pops up, which means it's the first degree. Or this one, HGH and testosterone therapy, that's the first degree. Or #1 men's health program, da-da-da-da. Well, what happens if two psychologies overlap on each other, where maybe this one pops up in pin #1 and this one pops up in pin #2? This is a authority or a social proof, and then this one is also a social proof. So this, let's call this one an authority. #1's men's program in the U.S. This is called a pizza shop strategy, because there is no way to prove this. But a lot of people use it because it works really, really well in advertising. This is a social proof. So if we get the most amount of conversions from here, we don't know if this one's working better or this one's working better. Or if this one came up in #3, we don't know if people care about this because of price, as a price differentiator. So long story short, we're going to make a recommendation here to test the different psychology biases by pinning them to the #1 position. Okay. So that is here. This is looking good. We're going to check out our site links, make sure nothing's disapproved. And if it would say disapproved, if it was like a little thing in parentheses that said disapproved. They have 4. Oh my gosh. How many do they have here active? No, they only have 5. Okay. So, yep, this is all looking good. None of them say disapproved. If it did say disapproved, we would make a note of that. Phone number is good. Structured snippets. Okay, they just have account level. That's fine. All right, we're going to cancel that and leave. So that is our recommendations for there. And that should almost be it. Let's see here. Maximize conversions. Target CPA of 450. So, what does this mean? Whenever you create a target CPA campaign, that means how much do you want an ad at? And this will probably play a large role in reducing their cost per conversion. So if we come over to here, we're going to say recommending reducing target CPA campaign from $450 to a target that is acceptable if conversions or impressions are not present, we will have to re-strategize and increase the target CPA. So what does this mean? Some things I like to shout out really quick is that a target CPA campaign says, what do we want to spend to get a lead on? And they're saying they want to spend up to $450 to get a lead. Now, Google actually, and not just Google, but every ad platform, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever, they write in their fine writing that they can double this portion, okay? So if this says $450 or $450, this can actually be doubled to $900 to receive a conversion, because they're assuming that if a sale is there and ready to go, that you will want to jump on that sale and pay a little bit of extra money to get it. Now, that's what they say. It just really depends on the person, of course, but it probably also plays a little bit of a role that Google Ads wants to get a little bit more money from you. And they probably make a lot of extra money, probably a few $1 billion worth of doing it this way. So we're going to make a recommendation to lower the CPA to an acceptable cost. They never told me the acceptable cost, so that's probably why we're having it this way. Now, here's the cool thing about the AI, is that the AI will either A, run and achieve this goal, or B, the AI won't run at all because it won't find that it is possible for us to even reach this goal in the first place. So if the ad's not running at all, and everything else that we said previously in this video about the 20 keywords, and it's not limited, no errors, assuming there's no errors at all, and the ad's not running, that means that the market is demanding a higher price to get that as a lead. If the market's demanding a higher price, the market's demanding a higher price. Everyone would love to get a sale for $1 million and spend $10 for it, but of course that is impossible. You would more than likely have to spend maybe $500, $1,000 to get $1 million sale instead of $10 because it's just unrealistic. So the market would then be demanding a higher cost per acquisition or higher cost per conversion. In the scenario where the ads aren't running at all or we're not getting any conversions, that means that we then need to go back to the client and rediscuss with them and reset expectations and say, hey, the market's currently demanding a higher cost per acquisition to achieve a lead at $450. The market may be demanding a lead at, $600, $700. And it's important that we note that, because if it's impossible in the first place to get a lead at that amount, we don't want to lie to the end client and say that we can get it if we cannot get it. And then, the client would actually end up respecting us more because now they will have to change strategy. Some usual recommendations to changing strategy is increasing the lifetime value of a customer. So maybe instead of having a one-time sale for $1,000, maybe we can keep them on for 6 months at $500. Thus, 4xing or whatever that math is, the amount of revenue or profit that we're going to get from them. So that's just, a re-strategization at that point, and that's all we can do. So we're going to write in here. I'm going to write exactly what I said, but I'm going to really just shorten it down. I gave you the long explanation, right? So I'm going to write a little capital. If ads are not showing impressions or the target CPA cannot be accomplished after performing these adjustments, period, we will have to re-strategize, because the market is demanding a higher CPA. So write that in there as a little note, just because if we don't write it in as a note, the client may get frustrated with us because they're originally hiring us to do an audit to see if we can reduce it. And if someone's paying you money to reduce a cost per conversion and then you can't, then they're not going to be happy. They're going to say, why did I just pay you? So, but also from our end, if we can't help it, we can't help it either. So that's why we need to write that in there. It is a small sentence, but it is a powerful sentence. Okay, so that was a lot in a mouthful. We are almost done here. So we went through our settings. We can also maybe check the change history as well here. It said, now here's something that you guys did not know. They told me before this call that the performance has declined significantly over the past, I believe they said 2 months. So because we know that, we are in February 8th, we are going to bring this back to December 8th, 2 months earlier. Or you can light it up on the 7th, 2 months that way. It does not make a difference, just roughly get 2 months. All right, and ad changes, that's the ad copy, bidding changes. We want to check this just to see if there's any major changes here. Target CPA updated February 3rd. We're going to look for changes here. When city removed. Ad group, 2 phrase max, exact match. Okay, so what am I doing when I'm looking at all this? I'm looking for major changes. Whenever someone creates a major bidding change, it can sometimes reset the AI. So sometimes people can make adjustments on an account way too much, and thus it resets the AI. And what does resetting the AI mean? It means that, say if you were going to launch a brand new campaign and you're starting off from zero, usually the campaign would have a 2-week learning phase to just get itself up and running, and then it would take another 2 weeks then to get your first conversion. So when you launch a Google Ads campaign, it can sometimes take 1 to 3 months to even get results. And if you're making large changes, it can definitely reset the AI. The things that usually reset the AI are bidding changes, keyword changes, audience changes, network changes, and maybe these two. So anyways, what are we looking for in bidding changes? Change from CPA to default. So this could be a bidding. This could be a large change. The answer is that we really don't know. So I go through all the work in saying this. It's because if it does have a major change and we see a drop in impressions, so we're going to come back here. Sorry if I'm also talking too fast for you guys. We're going to change this to impressions. Oh, look at this. They have a $450 a day budget, but their impressions went down to 0. Well, that means the AI got reset. They're not going to tell you the AI got reset, but if the ads aren't running at all, that means that the AI was reset. So what was that date range again here? It was January the 22nd. So that means on the 21st or 22nd, there was a change that reset the AI. And we are now going to filter it over to just this now because we're going to be looking for that time when the AI was reset. So only 4 changes happened during that time frame. That's great. Status change from active to paused. Okay, so they paused it and then that reset the campaign. And whenever you pause a campaign, it also resets the AI. So, John, what happens if you don't want a campaign to run anymore, but you want to use it again later? Instead of just turning it off outright, you want to turn this down to $5 a day instead so that the AI does not reset. So we're going to say here, AI was reset on January 21st, recommending not turning or not pausing campaigns in the future, but reducing the budget to $5 per day instead. Right? So that's our change history, and that will be the end of this entire audit. Now, for most people, never go more than 5 campaigns because they have a ridiculous amount of campaigns here. Odds are, if they made a mistake in one of these campaigns, they more than likely made the same mistake in other campaigns, and it'll just become very redundant. So never really go over 5 for an audit. 5 campaigns, that's why you also go for the most spend to the least spend. Never go over 5. I'd say never go under 3 campaigns. So a minimum of 3 campaigns you're going to audit. Most amount of campaigns you're going to audit will be probably 5. Again, we're going to associate this by cost, and we're going to bring this out a few months again to then see our next view. I'm going to go from November 1st, 2022 to February 8th. Why are we going this far back? Because they're saying it was working really well at one point and then it stopped working. So we're seeing the cost per conversion has kind of always been a little bit stagnant. So I don't know why they're thinking that the cost per conversion increased. It kind of did actually. Increased around January 25th. So could that have a correlation to the bidding strategy? Maybe. So now that we know it went up at around January 25th, we are now going to address this one problem. We're going to check between the 23rd and the 25th because that's when we had the major significant change. And by the way, again, your care was for the cost per conversion and the impressions. That's why we have the first thing that the customer is really curious about, and that's what we're going to tackle first, just because now we're going directly into the cost per conversion. So the reason why we're also doing this later is because we had to make sure that the conversion tracking and technical audit was all making sense first before going into this. Otherwise, we would have been making recommendations that were wrong to begin with. So now we're going to come over in the change history, just within that time frame. They had a call-only ad created. How many? Oh, 285 changes. Oh, my gracious. Ad grew. One amount increased. Okay, so now that we have all this, let's first check account changes. Ad changes will more than likely not play a role in this. That's where we're coming here. So the negative keywords, they probably added in a negative keyword that impacted this. So high likely chance a negative keyword was added on January 23rd, which caused the cost per conversion to go up. Let's see here. These are all it. Now there's 10 of them, so we can do this quick. Female therapy, this could be it, because it's in phrase match, and they're mainly focused on therapy. Maybe they only do testosterone therapy. That could be another problem. Hormone therapy, really? You added in hormone therapy as a exact match negative keyword, and all they're selling is hormones. So we're maybe going to, so this is a little side note. We're going to throw that in on the side there as examples, and you can just work your way all the way right there. If you find that you run out of room, maybe do like a comma or something like that and keep on going. But supply a few little, recommendations like that if you see it. What HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Let's see what else we got here. Hormonal therapy, yep, that's definitely probably causing the reason why that cost per conversion 5x'd. And face treatments to look younger. Okay, so it's more than likely these two keywords that's causing it. Because, and by the way, I'm seeing this for the first time at the same time as you. I've just been doing this for a while, so I can just immediately look at this. They're selling hormones. Their entire thing is called hormones. And anyways, with that, that is the end of this. Never go over again. Never go over 5 campaigns, never go under 3 campaigns. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.